Jerusalem had seen conquest before, and in 1099 the city had known a bloodbath. So when Saladin's banners appeared on the horizon in October 1187, many expected revenge. What they received instead stunned the survivors and reshaped reputations across Christendom and the Muslim world. The city's sacred geography made it the prize of empires. For the Crusaders, it symbolized pilgrimage and ultimate victory. For Muslims, it was a center of faith and a strategic crossroads. For nearly a century, Jerusalem was the capital of a Crusader kingdom, a fragile European outpost surrounded by powerful Muslim states. After decades of conflict and a string of battles, one leader emerged to challenge this status quo: Saladin, the Sultan of Egypt and Syria. He unified disparate forces under a single banner with a clear goal: to reclaim Jerusalem. The stage was set for a confrontation that would define the era. In the scorching heat of July 1187, Saladin scored a decisive, crushing victory at the Horns of Hattin. The battle was a strategic masterpiece that annihilated the Crusader field armies. With their military might shattered, the road to Jerusalem lay open. Over the next 2 months, Saladin's forces advanced methodically, capturing one Crusader stronghold after another. By late September, they arrived at the gates of the Holy City. Inside, the defenders consisted of a small garrison, bolstered by thousands of terrified refugees who had fled the advancing army. Led by Balian of Ibelin, they faced an impossible choice: fight to the last man, or surrender and face the unknown. Given the memory of 1099, the fear was palpable. When the First Crusade conquered Jerusalem, chroniclers on both sides record a mass slaughter that stained the city's streets with blood. Many inside Jerusalem in 1187 expected a brutal, reciprocal cruelty. Contemporary Christian writers expressed terror, describing a populace bracing for the worst. The city's defenders initially rejected calls for surrender, vowing to fight to the death and destroy the holy sites before they would hand them over. But as the siege tightened and Saladin's engines began to breach the walls, a negotiated surrender became their only hope. According to multiple accounts, when Jerusalem's Christian leaders finally yielded, Saladin gave strict and surprising orders. He decreed that civilians were not to be harmed. A system of ransom was established. Those who could pay for their freedom were allowed to leave unharmed. For those who could not, the poor, the elderly, and the widowed, mercy was shown. Some chroniclers record that Saladin, his brother, and his commanders used their own money to pay the ransoms for thousands who had nothing. In stark contrast to the events of 1099, the transfer of power was orderly. The gates were opened, and columns of residents were allowed to depart safely with their belongings. Contemporary sources, both Muslim and Christian, converge on this one remarkable point: the conqueror's conduct surprised everyone. The Arab chronicler Ibn al-Athir praised Saladin's clemency as an act of piety and wisdom. Baha ad-Din, Saladin's own biographer, detailed the compassion shown to the city and more strikingly, certain Christian writers, though enemies of Saladin, admitted that their people had witnessed unusual leniency. While they lamented the loss of the city, they could not deny the merciful terms of the surrender. These mixed and often pained testimonies from opposing sides help historians reconstruct not just what happened, but what it meant to the people who lived it. So why did Saladin choose mercy? Historians have debated his motives for centuries. Was it a purely moral act, rooted in Islamic principles of justice and forgiveness and victory? Was it a pragmatic strategy to stabilize a newly conquered city and avoid a bloody, prolonged street-to-street fight? Or was it a masterful political gesture, designed to project an image of magnanimity and chivalry that would enhance his reputation across rival courts, both Muslim and Christian? The answer is likely all three. In the complex world of the 12th century, mercy served reputation, and reputation was a form of power. Saladin's clemency had immediate effects. It spared countless civilian lives and prevented the city's destruction. It also complicated propaganda on both sides. Somi and Europe, hearing of the event, admired the chivalry it demonstrated even from an enemy. Others used it to critique the failures of their own Crusader leadership. For Saladin, the act cemented a legacy of noble leadership that would echo for centuries. He became a figure of respect, even in European literature, portrayed as the honorable and chivalrous opponent. His actions in 1187 became a key part of his legend. The story of Jerusalem's fall in 1187 has persisted because it poses a timeless moral question. What does honorable leadership look like in the midst of war? Saladin's example forced his contemporaries to confront their own brutal pasts and challenge the very notion that vengeance was the only law of conquest. It offered a different path. The events at Jerusalem remain a powerful illustration of how conduct in victory can be as important as the victory itself, shaping memory, legacy, and the course of history for generations to come. Saladin did what few expected. He chose mercy over massacre, calculation over raw revenge. It was a decision that altered how he was remembered and set a standard against which future conquerors would be measured. Now we want to hear from you. What would you have done in his place? Vote in our poll mercy or vengeance and tell us why you chose it in the comments below. Your perspective matters in understanding these complex moments. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more untold stories that changed our world.